Okay guys, so let's talk about the overhead press or the military press, which people call it. So essentially the overhead press is a primary upper body pushing sort of a movement. So in the entire pushing spectrum, we go from the overhead to incline to flat and right down to the dips. So in the overhead press, there are certain cues which are very important because you're directly loading the spine, you are pushing against the spine vertically down to press the weight vertically up. So a lot of mobility and a lot of cues that have to be there in place for you to properly execute that movement. So to start this movement from sideways, if you see, the overhead press should look something like this. The starting position from the side, the bar is really on my collarbone. It's like this in the front rack position of the front squat. From the front, it should look something like this. It's on the collarbone, and I'm holding it like this. Okay. So some people, similar to the bench press, some people hold it like in a false grip. Some people hold it in a full thumbs down grip. Thumbs down is recommended because it's much safer. False grip, of course, the bar can slip anytime because of any problems in the wrist, forearm, or elbow. So this is the starting position A. We have to go to Z, right? Now what happens in between? Now when you are at A and you are ready to press up, right? So we're gonna go top down from the top till the bottom. The pressing happens from this portion. We're gonna directly press from here. You're not pressing from the chin because the bar is literally here on your shoulder, and it's just pressing from the shoulder to the top, full extension of the arm. So when the bar is here, you really need to keep the bar in place, and you have to simultaneously, don't have to overarch your lower back, your lumbar. So don't overarch here and keep the bar in place. So there's going to be an arch here and there's going to be tightness here. So you have to brace the core 360 degrees to really spare that lower spine from moving, and you have to really have a mobile thoracic spine, the upper spine, this one. This upper spine has to be very mobile. It should round so that it can take the bar, the load of the bar. If it is not, then literally the entire load will come on your elbow in the starting position. Okay, which is, if you're just pressing it if the lighter weight is fine, but for heavier loads you have to first feel that weight and then press it. Similar to a bench press. You have to feel it, hold it for 2 seconds and then press it. Right? So, in the starting position, very important is the core brace. Along with the core brace, thoracic spine mobility, and of course, the glutes. This is your feet, these are your glutes, and that's your core. So glutes have to be very tight. Squeeze them very hard. Okay? So now you're going from A to the intermediate position, I. In this intermediate position, you've pressed up and your bar is almost here. And some people have a lock here. Some people can't take the bar beyond this point because a lot of things happen here. Your upper spine, the thoracic spine, is at the most mobile and stressed position, curved position here. Okay, most people think that most people do actually do the opposite. They arch from the lower back, and then all sort of problems happen with the lower back, and the lift goes down because your lower back cannot take that much. Your core has to be locked in 360 degrees all the time. Use a belt if possible for heavy weights. Squeeze the glutes very hard while pressing up. You have to literally press with the hip squeeze, similar to a leg drive. It's a hip drive. similar to a leg drive in a bench press. You're hip driving and because you cannot leg drive here, it's not a push press. You cannot push from your leg. You have to push standing, it's a standing push, right? So in this interim position, all sorts of things are happening. You have the most thoracic spine curvature, you have the most squeeze at the glute, you have the most brace at the core. And you have to remember, you don't have to flare the elbows out. This is not a press. You've seen a lot of bodybuilders doing that. Don't do that. I don't know what bodybuilders do, those enhanced bodybuilders do. I'm not sure they're using heavy ass weights there. To use heavy weights, check Dan Green's form. Check maybe Dmitry Klokov, the Olympic champion. Check his form. The elbows have to be drawn in front, not out. It's gonna wreak havoc on your rotator cuff. Press it out, and this is how this interim position should look. This is high. This is how it should look. So if everything is tight, this bar is going to go up. So it goes further up to Z. Now what happens between I to Z is that you don't have to just keep pressing like this. Some people do it, but generally for the entire health of the body, entire mobility of the body, you have to duck under it. Okay, so you're pressing, duck. So you are vertical in the end. Okay, so the total load is vertical. Otherwise, the end is going to be like this, and your entire load is still here. So how much can the spine take? Okay, so while loading symmetrically, you're sparing the body. The other muscles come in and they stabilize everything. Okay, so from the side, I think it should be pretty clear that the most important part is core brace, glute squeeze, and thoracic spine mobility. Right? From the front, it should somewhat look like this. Your feet should be round about the length, the spacing between the arms, length of the spacing between the arms, or can be a bit wider, with which you can apply the most squeeze of the glutes with the core brace on. And then when the bar goes up, it should look something like this. In between, okay, when you're pressing it up, in between, the elbows naturally tend to flare out, which is fine. Here, the shoulders are not in a compromised position. Here, they are, especially here. So you press it like this, and then automatically, the elbows will flare out. Sometimes it won't flare out so much, that is fine. As in, if you are keeping all the cues in mind, then you should be pretty fine with that. Overhead press is not going to be as heavy as your bench press, so you have to gradually build up to it. You have to do it very frequently. Okay, so because it involves more of the shoulder musculature, which is small, so that is why it's not going to be that heavier. But very good overhead press is your body weight. If you can press your body weight, it's really good. So that is how you're gonna press the weight over your head. If you have any questions, please reach out.